Brothers, how's it going? Joshua here. I am excited to send you this video. Today I want to talk to you about three very simple things. I want to talk to you about what it means to not only have a secret place, but to go to that secret place frequently and to fight for it. I also want to talk about His presence, how important it is to be in your Father's presence. And the third thing is to extend you an invitation. So let's first talk about the secret place. So for all of us men in our journey, we need to, at some point, know that there needs to be a place that gets to belong to just you and the Father. And we have to ask God where that place is. For some of you, it may be somewhere in your house, an office, a closet. But for most of us, we need to be with Him in His creation. And for me, that is definitely true. I am right now in what I would call my secret place. It is also a sacred place. And it's not very far from my home. Some of you may know where it is, but it is a special place where I love to go and just simply be in silence. And I have found, and you probably will find this too, that in order to become the kind of men that we were meant to be, we will have to fight for this secret place and to do everything we possibly can to get to it frequently, often, and be intentional about scheduling time in our life to go after it. Because that's the journey of a man who's maturing in Christ. They understand that intentional disciplines give us spiritual freedoms to access the fullness of God and to know that He is a good Father who goes before us and fights our battles. And we're simply a part of that. And that we only need to be really still. But it's that stillness that we have to fight for. And so I am here in one of my special, most favorite places in the entire world. And God told me to do something different today. I normally go to this place, and I normally walk the same trail and the path, and I take my favorite little chair, which is right here. It's my I Love You Jesus chair. It's very simple, very small, very rickety, very old. I like it that way, a little banged up and bruised, somewhat like myself. And I take it with me. It's very light, and God tells me where to stop and where to sit down. And I've been here for about an hour now, and I'm already feeling so much better. And I needed it desperately. This has been a season of warfare and battles, and perhaps it's on the precipice of the kingdom expanding in ways we have not yet seen. And that's exciting too. But we have to fight for this place. And so as I was walking along the journey and the trail to get to where I am today, I actually saw a little area that was basically a place I've never been before. And God said, I need you to go over there. And I said, okay. We often find ourselves in journeys where we are asked to go where we do not know. And that's probably actually true in anyone's life. The difference is are you going to go where you don't know and take Him with you? And so I went off the beaten path and went into a slightly new area that I've never been here before. And I sat down and I started to soak in the presence of this place and see its beauty, see some of the fall leaves of the remaining ones still hanging on to the branches. And I noticed in the trees, and I'll pan it around here, as you see here, up in the trees around me, it's very still and quiet right now. But the moment I sat down, something I'd never experienced before happened. Hundreds and hundreds of black crows came and landed on all the trees around me. And they started squawking that horrific squawk that you've heard before. And it was so loud that I was dumbfounded by wow, I came here to be still and hear your voice, Father. And I can hear nothing. It's so loud. And in that moment, I knew I needed to pray and simply know that my Father wants me to come alongside Him and enforce the kingdom. And so I did. I immediately looked up at all these crows squawking at a loud noise that was almost as loud as a concert. And I said, God, in your name, silence them. And it was as simple as 2, 3, and the next thing you know, right here, up on the branch, right above my head, comes swooping in this beautiful hawk. And he lets out this cry, this sound that was so uniquely different than the crows. And the crows immediately abandoned ship on all the tree branches around me and started to go off into the distance. And it wasn't enough that was the case, the reality. The actual hawk went after them and started to chase them down the ravine and down through the hills. And I was like, wow, that is beautiful. Sometimes we get to the point where we have to fight to get to the place that is our secret place. But even when we get there, the noise is loud. And we have to be present to the reality that we're called to enforce the kingdom wherever we are. And he wants us to be a part of that. And so I did. I asked God, please silence the crows. And that hawk showed up, sent them down the ravine, and the hawk went on his way. And it was silent for a minute. But then the crows came back, and they all came back to those branches, and they were quiet, yet it was like they were surrounding me, and it did not feel good, did not feel comfortable. And I thought to myself, Jesus had to enforce the kingdom multiple times too, particularly with the man who was possessed. He had to acknowledge the presence and go after it again. And so this time I went from silence them to Jesus banish them from this place. Banished them from my presence. And it was pretty soon thereafter, 2, 3, maybe even 4, and they just got off the branches and then went away. And then I was able to sit in his presence. When we are going to our camps, everything we do is so intentional. At these camps, we want to give you great information. We want to give you great teaching. We want to sit back and get out of the way so that God can do the teaching. And then we ask you to go out to these things that we call covenants of silence. Really what that is encounter and then process in the presence of the Father. And we would love to experience that sometimes in the teachings we experience in churches and from great speakers. But sometimes we don't get teaching with the embodied presence of the Father. Sometimes we get great information and we leave it and we don't choose the marinating time to be in his presence. You have to choose the presence because I believe, and this is so true, information without the time to process and experience what God has for you in it can simply be harmful. It's simply just information without the capacity for transformation. And so you have to fight for presence, men. And so what I've decided to do is that this message is coming to you via YouTube. And I've done that intentionally for 2 reasons. One is I want to put in the description what I am currently being invited to in this season of life for my intentional rhythms of presence. And it can be different for you, but I just simply want to share with you what God's calling into my life. And there's morning presence, there's evening presence, there's weekly presence, and then I have quarterly presence too. And this is one of my weekly presences that he is inviting me into. Several hours of just me and him until I'm ready to move on and be filled with his life and his love. And so while I'm a little bit shaky, I apologize for that. It's a little bit cold out, but you just bundle up if you want to go outside. Find the time. Fight for the time. And then know that there is an enemy who is opposed to you getting to this place, your secret place. Where is your secret place? Fight for it, and then realize that you're going to need to invoke the kingdom. And that leads me to the final portion of what I wanted to share with you. I wanted to extend to you men an invitation. So we have had many different camps over the course of the years. We have a journey of becoming. It's long-lasting. It's embedded in the reality that we want to be like Jesus. And since he never let go, neither shall we. And so we want to be with you in the trenches, in all of the in-betweens of those powerful camp experiences. And we have a survival school advance coming up, and we do one every year. And we've come together to make a decision that we want to give you our hearts in the trenches to prepare your hearts for Survival School Advanced. And so I have written a program that incorporates a previous camp that equips you in your readiness to go after and be ready for Survival School Advanced. And we call it Advanced. And so starting December 2nd, we will be meeting on Tuesday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m. via Zoom. And we will do it every other week. And we have written a program where you will actually watch the video sessions, Camp at Home, an amazing, powerful camp that goes after categories that are crucial to your heart, understanding suffering, deeper understanding of categories of wounds and healing, what it means to actually worship and love Jesus well, and what does it mean to be called into our appointments, our anointings over our life, what it means for the new name to manifest in our calling, and then to understand warfare and hearing God's voice. I want to walk with you, men. I want to do this. The invitation is always for the many. All of you are going to be receiving this message. And yes, I want all of you to come. But I know that only the few thirsty ones will say yes. But for those who say yes, in the description will also be a link for you to register for these morning sessions. We're talking 9 sessions, spanned out every other week. And it's simply an invitation of the Father's love. There's so much more for you. We have so much more to go after. And there's no better way to do it than to do it together. I love you, men. It's a battle. Find your secret place. Fight for it. Know that information without his presence is simply harmful because there will be no transformation. Encounter him through what he wants to reveal to you, and then go through the journey of processing in his presence. I love you, men. I hope that you will say yes to the invitation of Advanced, the training program written out for you in the description. Stay strong, brothers. Love you. Let's fight well.